Thank you, Yatin. And thank you to the meeting organizers. I know it's been a long time since the break, so I will move briskly through my presentation. I'd like to also thank Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Purushottam for your generous hospitality and for including us in this conference. There's been a lot of focus on Pennsylvania with the panel, and what I like to do in my discussion is sort of take it up to the state level and talk about the interdependencies that are really inherent in successful technology transfer and really get to the end game of having the technologies, the products, reach the end user. And I will just, as many of our speakers have done, reiterate what Dr. Agarwal said right up front about the I-4, invention, finding the innovator, investment, and infrastructure. And I would add a fifth I, and that is interdependencies. And I think that the recognition of the interdependencies is what makes these ecosystems really work. And the public-private partnership, of course. So to ground you, we did talk a little bit about geography with Texas and Kentucky and Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is based on for those of you not directly familiar with the geography of the United States, Pennsylvania is located on the eastern end of the United States, and as Chris Lang mentioned, sits about halfway between the financial markets of New York City and the regulatory bodies like the FDA and the NIH in Washington, D.C. And Philadelphia, in particular, sits in the southeastern corner of Pennsylvania, and of course Pittsburgh is in the southwestern corner of Pennsylvania. In the southeast, we often refer to the pharma corridor, or the biopharma corridor, that we believe runs from Boston down to Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. And of course, Philadelphia sits right at the belt buckle of that belt. And on the western side, we don't have it on the map, but between Toronto and Cleveland, we often refer to as a med tech corridor, and Pittsburgh really sits at the middle of that belt. So Pennsylvania, really the keystone state of the original 13 American colonies, has also been an epicenter of life sciences growth. So very quickly about Life Sciences Pennsylvania. We are the statewide trade association for Pennsylvania's entire life sciences community. We are also, like the Science Center, we are also a not-for-profit, privately funded organization. We do not take state money. We do not take federal money. We are funded entirely by our membership through their annual dues and through their sponsorships of our programs and their registrations at our events. We are one of the largest state associations in the United States for the industry, second largest, in fact. We have 715 member companies in Life Sciences Pennsylvania. These are not individual memberships, these are organizational memberships. So academic research, we have 56 universities and colleges in our membership, large pharma, startup biotech companies, some of the economic development groups. Of course, the Science Center is one of our local regional partners and members in Philadelphia. University of Pittsburgh is a member. Lehigh University is a member. We were very proud to have the entire life sciences community supporting our efforts. And we also include investment organizations and the entire range of service providers who support the life sciences community. So you can see the I-4 or the I-5 really is represented in our membership. We have, as a trade association, we have two core accountabilities. The first is public policy advocacy. And I think you heard mostly this morning, including from Dr. Reddy, that the public policy climate is crucial to incentivizing and motivating entrepreneurs and including the creation of companies and ultimately for companies to stay and grow their businesses within the borders of Pennsylvania. So the first part of our mission is to create a public policy environment in the state of Pennsylvania that makes Pennsylvania the most attractive place in the United States to open and operate a life sciences company. The other core accountability we refer to as facilitating strategic connections. And this is more than a fancy way of saying we put on networking events, although we do that. Our job as the trade association is to serve as the hub of the entire life sciences community of the Commonwealth and really beyond our borders. So we are constantly facilitating connections between startup companies and large pharma, universities and large companies, whatever the resource that's needed to help those constituents of ours reach their objectives. We also serve as the state affiliate for 5 national trade associations in the United States. Many of you may have heard of PhRMA, which is the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. Possibly you've heard of BIO, which is the Biotechnology Innovation Organization. AdvaMed and MDMA are the 2 national trade associations that represent the diagnostic and device industry. And ACRO, the logo on the far left, is the Association for Clinical Research Organizations. So we work hand in glove with those national associations primarily on public policy, federal public policy, to shape public policy, but also to facilitate connections on behalf of our members. We also are we also have international relationships with 4 entities: Azo Biotech Italia, Biotech Taiwan, a company called One Nucleus in the United Kingdom, and in February of 2014 we signed an MOU with the Karnataka Biotechnology Information and Technology Service. KBITS in Karnataka, we have an agreement with KBITS to work with each other on directing our respective constituents to resources in our regions. So if a company from Karnataka is looking to open operations in the United States, they will be directed to Pennsylvania. And conversely, our companies looking for business in India will be directed to Karnataka. So what does the life sciences industry look like in Pennsylvania? We have more than 2,300 life sciences establishments across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, directly employing 77,000 Pennsylvanians. It's a large R&D hub. Our companies alone invest more than $1 billion each year. And when you consider the service industry that supports those 2,300 companies, it's about 6.5 jobs in the service industry for every 1 direct job in life sciences. So a little bit of rough math, it's about 500,000 people in Pennsylvania either directly or indirectly employed with life sciences work. And as Mark mentioned earlier, we are home to 2 of the top 5 National Institutes of Health funded organizations in the United States, the University of Pennsylvania being number 4, the University of Pittsburgh being number 5. So that's a great source of pride, and obviously it's a tremendous vehicle for accelerating technologies into the marketplace. We're also home to many global pharmaceutical and medical device companies' U.S. operations. So some of these are household names, companies like Pfizer or Merck, GSK, and some of the device companies such as Teleflex and B. Braun. Their U.S. operations are headquartered in Pennsylvania, and as a result, a lot of companies that have spun out of the universities are created in Pennsylvania because of the rich talent pool. Some of these companies, you saw these on Mark's earlier slide, Canop and others that are based in Pittsburgh, but also in the southeastern end of the state, some of the startup community. And we also have become the landing zone because of programs such as the Science Center's Global Soft Landing. We've become the landing zone for many companies based outside the United States looking to open their operations in the U.S. Companies like Neos, Idera is actually based outside of Pennsylvania, and we stole them from Massachusetts, but Adaptimmune was mentioned earlier and others. And a lot of that is because the public-private partnership that we work on a regular basis. And this slide is kind of hard to read, some of the specifics, but these are some of the resources and specific attributes of Pennsylvania that make our state attractive, but that really do feed into that that ecosystem that has been mentioned several times, the interdependencies and the strong support from government. Although we are not-for-profit and we do not accept state or federal government money, obviously our companies do, and we work with the state government to create that public policy climate. So we have what are called Keystone Innovation Zones, for example. You see there in the middle of the slide. Keystone Innovation Zones are favorable tax zones, physical geographical zones where companies can form with little or no taxes. We've got strong talent pool. We've got access to capital. We have research and development tax credits. Again, these are tax credits granted to companies by the state as they increase their research and development spending. So there really is a long list of attributes and government benefits that create that climate. But as important, and again, interdependent, are the talent, the global pharmaceutical presence, the global medical device presence, and the academic community presence. There are two programs captured under these four names that I just flashed up onto the screen. The first is the Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Pennsylvania. Ben Franklin, I'm sure you know the name Ben Franklin. There are 4 Ben Franklin Technology Centers in Pennsylvania. These are state-funded entities. They have been around for a little more than 60 years. And what the Ben Franklin Technology Partners do is they fund startup companies. Since their inception, they have funded more than 1,100 companies. They formed more than 59 in 2014, and more than 300 products and processes have come out of that Ben Franklin Technology Network. BioAdvance is a southeastern Pennsylvania life sciences greenhouse, and that's essentially an incubator business. It's not a physical building with lots of companies inside it like the Science Center, but it is a funding mechanism that starts with money from the state, and over the last 12 years, they've invested more than $28 million in 65 companies, and they have leveraged hundreds of millions of dollars of additional private funding. Life Sciences Greenhouse of Central Pennsylvania, very similar to BioAdvance. They're part of the Life Sciences Greenhouse Network. They've invested more than $26 million in 66 companies and led to over $300 million in follow-on investment. And then similarly, in Pittsburgh, more than $20 million into 77 life sciences companies by the Pittsburgh Life Sciences Greenhouse. These are all state-funded entities funded through a lawsuit you may have heard about back in 2000 against the tobacco industry. So the tobacco settlement dollars were shifted to the states, and Pennsylvania has used that money to invest in startup life sciences companies. So the evolution, and we've talked a little bit about this already today, but the large pharma industry continues to evolve and has changed dramatically. I would say really dramatically in the last 7 or 8 years. We've seen a lot of contraction, a lot of consolidation of large pharma companies, and as a result, we've seen a lot of jobs shed from large pharma companies. But what that has done in Pennsylvania has led to a rapid growth in the startup community. So many former pharma executives have gone out to start their own companies. And in fact, since the fourth quarter of 2008, there have been more than 700 new research and development-based startup companies formed in Pennsylvania, many of those from former pharma executives. And at the same time, apropos today's discussion, there has been reduced funding from the National Institutes of Health over the last several years, which has led to an increased importance in tech transfer, not only for the universities who are seeking to commercialize technologies to generate revenue, but also for the large pharma companies who are looking to fill their pipelines. So the way the industry and the way the funding environment has evolved, it has really facilitated tech transfer. Now, what does that look like in Pennsylvania? I'm just going to pull all of these up at once, but these are all universities that have significant tech transfer operations. And then you see companies like Janssen, which is part of Johnson & Johnson, GlaxoSmithKline. They are developing and engaging in partnerships with the universities to accelerate the tech transfer and funding tech transfer activity out of the big pharma budgets. So across the state of Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh's Innovation Institute and Lehigh University, Hershey Center for Applied Research, the QED program that Chris Lang talked about earlier, these are all examples of the acceleration of tech transfer activity going on across Pennsylvania. And this has led to the second wave, or the result, of course, is the formation of companies. Spark Therapeutics, Team Unity, of course, Penn and Novartis working on their T-cell therapy activity, and again, a number of companies across Pennsylvania that have come from that accelerated investment by large pharma into the tech transfer operations. And the payoff, and this is sort of where the end beneficiary really is recognized, Pennsylvania has become a leader in personalized medicine, a leader in gene-based therapies, precision prevention, immuno-oncology, digital health, and all with a focus on outcomes-based research and translational research. So no longer is academic research for research's sake adequate. The administrations and the companies are looking for translational research. So this has led to really positioning Pennsylvania as a U.S. hub for life sciences. We have a tremendous environment. We have the network to catch inbound